Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a really powerful piece of writing. It's titled Udu's Uprising, A Cry for Justice. And reading it, it really feels less like, a standard report and more like a direct message. Urgent.
Yeah, almost like a manifesto, as you said. And our goal here today, just to be clear, is really specific.
Okay.
We're going to unpack this text, just this one source. We want to understand its core message, the grievances it lists, the intentions it states.
Got it. So sticking strictly to what's written right here.
Exactly. No outside info, just what this document tells us.
All right. So let's start with the main complaint. What does the text say is the central problem?
Well, right at the core, the text argues that Udu LGA feels completely abandoned, left behind.
Abandoned. But it immediately puts that next to something else, doesn't it? It creates a contrast.
It does, a really stark one. The source points out that Udu is actually home to some major oil and gas infrastructure.
Oh, right. It names them.
Yes. Specifically the Udu gas plant, and it also mentions OML 34 and 65. And OML, for anyone listening, that's oil mining lease, so licensed areas for drilling and extraction.
So the text is saying, look, this place has significant resources, major operations.
Exactly. But then it pivots hard to the reality described for the people living there.
And that reality, according to this source, is, well, pretty bleak. It lists what's missing.
It really does. Despite all this resource activity, the text says there's basically no functional infrastructure.
Like what specifically?
It lists no functional roads, no proper hospital, no university, no stadium, no lights, no government presence, just a whole list of lacks.
Wow. It even mentions the Delta Steel Company.
Described as looted and left to rot. So adding to this picture of neglect and decay,
And what about the companies actually doing the extracting? The source has something to say about them.
Oh, definitely. It pulls no punches there. It claims these companies are making billions from Udu soil.
Billions. And the return.
According to this text, nothing in return. That's the direct quote.
So that's the fundamental grievance laid out here. Huge wealth being generated from their land. But the community seeing, well, none of the benefits in terms of basic development.
Precisely. It's their perspective on that classic resource curse dynamic. All the extraction, none of the local improvement as they see it.
Okay, so this simmering resentment.
Yeah.
What does the text say was the actual, breaking point, the final straw?
The text identifies a very specific event. It points to a recent decision by the Delta state government.
It was.
Approving over 500 development projects across the state. A big initiative.
Right, 500 projects. That sounds significant.
It is. But the absolutely crucial detail, the one the source hammers home, is that out of those 500 plus projects, not one in Udu.
Not a single one.
Not one, according to this document. And the text says that was the moment. Seeing that exclusion, that's when the anger apparently shifted.
Shifted how?
From just anger and frustration into readiness for action.
Okay, so that specific exclusion was the trigger. What action does the source say they're planning? It mentions a coalition.
Yes, a coalition of Udu youth and other concerned citizens. And the text is very clear. They're changing tactics.
Yeah.
It explicitly states they're done writing letters and holding meetings that lead nowhere. Suggests those methods failed them.
So no more talking shops.
Yeah.
What's the new approach?
The source outlines a sequence. Consulting, consolidating, and soon confronting.
Consulting, consolidating,
Yeah.
confronting. That sounds ominous. Confronting who? How?
The text leaves little doubt. It states the ultimate threat they're prepared to use.
Which is?
A total shutdown of all gas and oil operations on their land if their demands aren't met.
A total shutdown. That's a major escalation.
It is, and the source underlines their determination. It says, we will not move until our voices are heard, and we will not back down.
So very resolute language.
Extremely. It presents a very firm stance.
And the document finishes with some powerful closing lines, right?
It does. It sums up their position very forcefully. Udu deserves better. We are not slaves in our land. We are not silent anymore.
Wow. Okay, so just recapping, based only on this source we've looked at today, we have a community articulating a deep sense of grievance.
Grievance over specifically resource distribution and a perceived total lack of development despite hosting valuable assets.
And this grievance, triggered by a specific instance of exclusion, has led, according to this text, to a plan for direct action.
A plan involving a threat of significant economic disruption shutting down oil and gas.
Right. So stepping back and just considering what this one source presents, it lays out this scenario pretty clearly. Perceived neglect in a place rich with resources reaching a flashpoint.
Exactly. It culminates in this threat against the very industries operating there. So the question this text leaves us with, perhaps for you listening,
Yeah.
what does this specific example, just as it's described here in this source, make you think about the complex, often tense dynamics between local communities and, large-scale resource extraction?